Start recording. So what I do on these is I'll take pictures of each line and I'll send them to you. So they'll come on email because I can only send them one at a time. But that way, when you go back through and look, if you want, you can look at the cards while I'm reading. So this first line is kind of where you are right now. Well, I don't want my ceiling. So you have the resurrection card upside down. And then you had two shadow work cards. One is addicted and the other is obsession. But the card on the end down here is the golden empress upside down. And so this card in particular is confidence and potency and magnetism. And so in looking at all of these together, it makes me want to give you a humongous hug. It makes me want to give you a humongous hug because it tells me that you're stuck. Like you literally feel like life is stagnant right now. But the thing is it's like frustrating it's super frustrating. Like even just looking at it, it's super frustrating. So you feel stuck, you feel stagnant, you feel like you can't get out of it. And you know, you're in these cycles, but at the same time, you have no idea what fucking cycles they are. So then you can't get out of them because you don't know what cycles they are. So you get obsessed with trying to figure out what cycles they are, why you're in them. It's just like spinning your wheels, but the wheel isn't even turning. It's like when you first learn to ride a 10-speed bike and you shift up too far. And so you're doing this and you're getting nowhere because that's exactly what it's like. So it's draining your confidence right now.
Okay.
Like there's so much frustration. Okay, let me send you this picture before I forget because I will. And then I'll be like, I don't know which pictures were which. And I have to count backwards, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay. So I'm really curious about these dual cards everywhere now because that's a lot of frustration. That's a lot of frustration. So usually when I do the finding your path, I usually only do 1 or 2 lines, but you had 3 anchor cards come out. So you have 3 lines. I'll be able to tell, I'll lay out the first line and then I will flip over the anchor card for the second one. And I'll be able to tell if it's like more of a past, present, future, or if it's 3 separate issues. So, but I'm really interested about this duality with some stuff. Oh, I can tell. Okay, never mind. It's 3 separate issues. Never mind. I didn't even have to go very far. I'm like, all right, never mind.
Okay.
That's what I said.
3 separate issues. Lovely.
All right. Well, because usually I have to look, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, let me make sure, but nope, right out. 3 separate issues. Gotcha. Okay. Try not to get my hot pink sock in there. It is what it is. Some people get my socks.
That's okay. I'm good with that.
They do match today. So there's that. I was like, they do actually match today, which is obviously a fluke of nature because that doesn't ever happen. All right. So I sent you the picture for this line. The anchor card for this one, and as soon as I flipped it over, so I was like, okay, this is 3 separate issues. This is the drum, which is being called to do something. It's this need inside to move forward, like whether you want to or not. You just know you have to move forward. Then you have 3 cards from the same deck. I thought it was just 2, but it's 3. So here's what I find even more interesting. This line has 3, the second one has 2, and the third one has 1 from this deck in it. So it's like a countdown. So this has to happen for that to happen, for that to happen. So it's dominoes. But in this one, you have healing chaos, and then the voyage, and then enlightenment. And then you have spirit of the South. You have secret temptation, but it's upside down. Then you have overflow, which is being overwhelmed and having more than you need, which is upside down. And I'm going to save the last 2 cards for just a second. All of this right here even though these lines are 3 separate issues, there are 3 different things that you're trying to work through right now. One of them, I mean, and what's funny is even looking at the cards, it's one of those things that it's like, well, everybody's working toward that, but yours is a little different. You're very firm and determined in who you are, how you're moving forward, what you do. Very structured with it, like very driven. There we go. So the healing chaos right there. That one is just for lack of a better term, it's a whole bunch of bullshit. This is personal, emotional stuff. You're that woman that you hold yourself together no matter what the hell else is going on behind the scenes. You're going to put this face out. I'll deal with this shit later. I don't have time. I put this persona out. This is who I am. People don't know things are really bothering you until I don't think most people even know when things are bothering you. You hold yourself together so well. Only people that are very close to you that see you a lot notice little tiny changes in your face, in your mannerisms, anything. Like you are very poised and put together. So you're still working through all of this bullshit that's stacked up. It's like you have this filing cabinet and it goes in this file. You've got to start going through the file. So there is some shadow work that I don't know if you're just delving into it or you haven't started yet, but it's like right at the beginning of that path. And it's going to be really hard, and it's going to cause you to really take some hardcore looks at a lot of things in your life, and not just, oh, well, I know this bothered me a long time ago. It's like a complete reevaluation of some things that you believed, that you've always thought, that you've always held on to. And I have a feeling that second line is about some of this. The voyage there. So the second 2 make me kind of happy. They make me grin a little bit. The voyage here is you already know that you're being called to go somewhere. But I don't, and I mean physically travel somewhere, but I don't quite think it's as far as you think it is. I understand this feeling all too well, where you get called, you feel like, man, I want to go here. This is like my dream trip, you know, Australia or China or the Philippines, you know what I mean? Somewhere. This is my dream trip. I want to go here. Because your soul is looking for something specific, but it's not as far away as you think it is. The other aspect of this is seeking enlightenment. However, with that healing chaos card, your enlightenment is a little different than other people's enlightenment. Some people's enlightenment is, I just want a job and a house and 5 kids or whatever. Like their enlightenment is to be happy in the secular world. Then there's other people on the opposite end of that spectrum that their enlightenment is to be literally enlightened, be Buddha, be enlightened and move on. Yours is a little different in that you care but don't care about this first aspect here. You care but don't care about this last. Yours is like not even on this line here, it's up in here. I have a feeling that if this is not, okay, let me rephrase that. This is your second to last time around as far as lives go. So you feel this sense that time's running out and you're frustrated because you have no idea where you need to go, what this path to enlightenment looks like for you, because it's not these two things or anything on the line in the spectrum in between. Yours is different. The spirit of the South being right side up, that's the fire element. It's burning away the old to make way for the new. It's using the ash to regrow everything the way you want it to be. The secret temptation upside down also tells me about how determined you are to move forward, and that when you want something to happen, it's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen. There is no fail. The overwhelm card is interesting because it tells me that you've reached the spot in your life where having a lot of money and having all the things is not what makes you happy anymore. This goes along with that different path on enlightenment. You're not on the same path. You're not even on the spectrum as everybody else, or well, most people. But it being upside down tells me you're still seeking that wealth, that type of wealth. You haven't put your fingers on it just yet. Now we're going to talk about the last two cards because they coincide with all of this. So the first card here is the let go of a fixed plan. And the last one is gratitude. And this is a sacred geometry. So it's got several different geometric shapes in it. It's got the seeds of life in the middle. And then I can't remember how many points that star is in particular, but you've been pushing yourself so hard and rushing forward so hard to get these three things figured out. I'm dying to know what sign you are, but don't tell me yet. Like, I'm dying. I have my guesses, but you've been pushing and so determined because of all that bullshit in the past that's made you just completely flip the other way. Like, I will not depend on anybody. I will not do this. No one will take this from me. Like, you are so fiercely yourself that you've been just headlong like a bull running towards something. But the thing is, to find these three things, to be able to unpack that file, to find where it is your soul is being called to. And I mean physically, like normally I'd just be like, you know, where your soul is wanting to be. Yours is a physical place. And to find this enlightenment that you're seeking, you have to let go of this rushing forward in a straight line. It's not a straight line for you. It's actually backwards.
Okay.
You have this amazing, inner gyroscope that's always points you in the right direction. It always, no matter how toppled over you get, you're always going to right yourself and move forward again. You need to look back at some of the times in your life when you've been your own savior, when that gyroscope, when you've landed right back on your feet and rushed forward again. You don't give yourself enough credit and enough slack at the same time for the things that you've survived, the things you've lived through, the things you've accomplished. You do the big things, but not the little tiny things. Everybody does the big things, but not the little tiny things. And I think if you even sat down and tried to make a list of little tiny things you accomplished just the last 2 weeks, I think you would overwhelm yourself. If you were looking at it like, okay, I'm going to step outside myself and I'm going to look at this as, you know, my best friend, my spirit guide looking in and say, okay, holy shit, you did all of these things last week. I think you would probably get overwhelmed at what you actually do and accomplish and handle on a daily basis. So
Agreed.
that's what I mean by you're too far rushing forward, and what you have to let go of that fixed, I'm going to push forward through it no matter what, because this is different than other aspects of your life. Your spiritual self is very, very unique, and it's very different than every other aspect of you. You have a super old soul. And I would bet that you get extremely frustrated with most of the people around you. I would bet that you have a very, very tiny circle, and you sometimes don't even like hanging out with them. I would bet you know a lot of people, and I would bet a lot of people have tried to latch onto your strength and your pushing forward, and they've tried to leech some of that energy. I would also bet you have a lot of people that are very jealous of where you are in life, where you are mentally, just of your stamina and your need to push forward. You have so many threes. I just noticed so not all the cards in this line and the decks I use have numbers on them, but out of the 6 that do, 5 of them have 3s on them.
What does that mean?
So 3 is perfect balance.
Okay.
That's what you're striving for, is perfect balance.
Okay. And do you see me achieving that?
Well, I'm going to look at this other line. I think that your soul itself will stop at nothing to achieve it if you know it's in reach, if you know you can. I think that you would probably push yourself to the ends of the earth to achieve it if you knew you could. But the thing is, sometimes it's not. Of course you have the Ancient Ones card. Of course you do. Okay. I got you now, girly.
Awesome.
You're going to have a lot of emails for me. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I will definitely look through them.
So this one right off the bat starts off with the Ancient Ones card. That's why I was like, I kind of giggled because I was literally just like, you have a super old fucking soul. Wow. And almost all the other cards in here have the number 20 in them. In fact, both of the last 2 cards are 25. So like I said, this is like dominoes. That first line was, okay, these 3 things, this is what I'm looking for. This is how to fix it. Like looking backwards, giving yourself praise for and acknowledging all of those teeny tiny things that you do on a daily basis that you don't even realize you do. I think you realize it, but your realization of it is a little different. Your realization of it isn't, holy shit, I accomplished all of that shit today. Your realization of it is, why the fuck can't everybody else accomplish this shit? Like, why can't everybody else do all of this?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like, you get so frustrated with other people because they're not doing the things you're doing, the workload you're doing. A lot of that is because your soul is old as dirt, girl. Older than dirt.
Great.
That's why you get so frustrated with people. It's why you get very, it's why you don't understand the majority of people. Because you just, I would bet even as a kid, you felt older than your friends, even if they were older than you.
All my friends were older than me. Now they're younger than me.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I
So
say that, not all of them.
let me read you these cards here. So, and remember how I said you had 3, 2, 1? So the 2
Yeah.
cards in this one are inner peace and gateway. Here, when we get done with this, or when I get done taking pictures and sending them to you, and I need to get my ass in gear so I have time, I'm going to send you another email with a few things in it that is going to help you with this, because part of this line makes me kind of sad here, because I see what it, remember how I said most people, their enlightenment is one or the other, and other people are on this scale. Not everybody. That's about 80% of the world. 20% is in this other category here. Because their soul, they're almost at the end of their cycle, their journey. So they know there's something different. What you're looking for is literally, you have the soul loss card. You're literally looking for pieces of your soul that have split off from you to pull everything back together so you can move forward. That's why you can't figure out what you're looking for. Because whereas other people are like, I'm looking for love, or I'm looking for understanding, or, you know, whatever, they can put a name to it. With you, it's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking for. Because you're literally looking for parts of yourself that were lost. Then you have the spirit of the East, which is upside down, which is the spirit of the West, which is earth and grounding. Then you have the meditation card, and then the vanishing mirror, which is the ego, but it's upside down. So there's a lot to this line, Like, we could spend an hour just talking about this line. There's a lot. There's a lot, girl.
Yep.
Like, I don't even know where to start. There's a lot. I mean, first of all, your soul is not from here, which is another reason that you don't understand the people here. The other part is your inner peace is much different than other people's inner peace. And that's kind of your gateway to finding these parts of yourself that are gone. And what's funny is, I think that you've really worked your ass off probably over your last 4 or 5 lifetimes to find all these other parts of yourself that had split off. When a soul gets really old, let me back up. Souls are all created in batches, like cars, kind of. So they all have almost like a little soul VIN number where you can see, okay, you guys were all created here about this time with these other souls. In doing all this, I've been doing it a while, not forever, but a while. Most soul tribes have anywhere from 10 to like 100 people in them. You rotate around these people every life. These are like people that are family, they're best friends, they're soulmates, they're twin flames. They're also your arch nemesis. You revolve around them in every lifetime. So when one of them's missing, all of you feel it. All of you feel it. So say somebody gets yanked early in another life and they're a spirit guide. Well, all the rest of you are here. You guys feel that loss, and you don't understand why you feel like something's always missing. Even if life is absolutely and utterly perfect, something is still missing, but you can't put your finger on what. That's part of what's going on this time. The other part is, as a soul gets older, it starts to crack, just from all the wear and tear, from all the knowledge, from all of the shit you have to go through. Every soul has like this checklist of things they have to accomplish. And as they get that done, that's a lot of information. If you look at it like a big quartz crystal and you are trying to pack other molecules in there, eventually parts of that quartz are going to crack. They're going to fall off. So when that happens, those actually turn into, so like, here's your main soul and this part comes off. You're still you, but now there's a fractal out there. So this is a whole brand new person, but they're still almost exactly like you. You've spent your last 5, I would say 5 lives gathering some of these up, because when you meet your fractals, when you come across fractals, it's not so much a physical taking back of yourself, but it's like a psychic, spiritual aspect of reconnecting with that part of you that split off. So it fixes that crack. It fixes that part. You had a lot. You still have a couple, but you had a lot because your soul is old. That's what you're looking for this time around. You've got one more you're supposed to find. You've already found one in this life. You've got one more you're supposed to find. That's why I said it's a physical place you're looking for. That's why when I turned these over, I was like, oh, I got you. Okay. And this right here is somebody that, this is a part of you that absolutely grounds you to who you are. That's why you feel that loss so bad of that part of yourself. Like even when you can be the rock, the steel beam that holds up the whole fucking town, but you still sometimes feel on shaky footing because you don't have that piece of yourself. You don't let anybody else know it, but you still kind of feel on shaky footing right there. I want to talk about the 2 cards at the end real quick, and then I want to flip over this other line because these two are kind of interesting. So you have the breathe love into your life, which is reminding yourself that it's okay to take a breath and step back. It's okay to relax for even 5 minutes. The card at the end, and I already sent you the picture, it has a frequency on it, which is to help liberate guilt and fear. With yours, I don't think it's so much the guilt. I think it's the fear of moving forward. But I find this line extremely interesting because it's hard. It's hard. So I can see where that frustration comes for when that very first line I talked about, like this is kind of where you're at. I can absolutely see where the frustration is. Like I'm frustrated at this for you. But the thing is, I know you're going to accomplish it. I know you're going to come across that person. You're going to find that person. And I've got to look up what the number 25 means because that's really weird having 2 different decks and both the cards next to each other that talk about allowing yourself to take a breath and to let go of some fear. Both have the number 25 on them. I'm like, okay, you have a lot of synchronicities in these. You did in the last line too. This is actually a line that I will probably look back over this evening and do a little bit of meditation and think about it because it's going to be an interesting way to move you forward. And that's the only way I can explain that. I don't know how else to say it. One where you only had 1 card. Okay, I'm to the point now where I can't keep some of these questions back. I need to know what you do for a living.
A lot. I'm in healthcare, but I do a lot. I'm an administrator.
Of course you are. You literally have the shaman card.
More or less behavioral health at that.
Gotcha. Okay. That's funny.
Share.
Remember how I was just saying it's really interesting that your last two cards both had the same damn number and they said almost the same thing?
Imagine that.
Both of these are the number 6. And the card at the very end, like, remember I said that other one had a frequency on it. It was 396 and it's to release fear. And this card, the very first part of it says releasing fear. All the other cards have the number 2 or are the number 2. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to ask a couple more questions and then talk about this. And I'm going to go a little past time, but I'll have April message my person and be like, hey, she's running a few minutes late. How analytical of a person are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being like the most analytical person ever in the history of ever, where would you put yourself on that scale?
Probably a 9.
Okay. How good are you with math and technology?
5, not good.
Okay.
I use Excel.
I do too.
My kid's a math genius, though.
Okay. Okay. Have you always wanted to be in healthcare, or did you just couldn't ignore the signs anymore?
It fell in my lap.
Okay. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Of course it is. All right. I'm going to give you homework. There is a special type of starseed that here's the other thing I think is funny in doing what I do. There are certain times when anybody that does what I do, you start to draw people to you, or people come into your path that are very similar to what you are because they need your guidance and helping to figure it out and move forward. So one of the main starseed types, and this is what I would bet your son is. I'm sorry, Bear. One of the main starseed types is from Orion. They're very analytical. They're very logical. They're very calm under pressure. They're very centered. They're very ambitious. If they get something in their mind, it's happening. Like it's happening. I've already said it's happening. They're also very mathematical. That's why I said I would bet that's what your son is, because usually starseeds are given to other starseeds from that area because you know how to handle them. There's a very special type from the Orion system. And that's what I sent you, that's your homework, is for you to look up those traits. Because I don't ever like to tell somebody, because I like you to read and go, oh my God, I do every one of those things. This particular one, they have all the traits of the Orions, but they also have the healer traits, and they usually end up in mental health and some kind of first responder aspect that may not be quite fire or police. So either like 911 or somewhere in there. They end up in very, very specific, unique positions. That's why I asked I was like, all right, I need to know what you live for. They're also from a place that's very drawn to water. That's very drawn to blues and purples. That's very drawn to dolphins and whales and sounds of water in the ocean.
Hey, friend showed up.
Remember me? I do. Yeah, she was like, my friend had a reading with you the other day. So they're very, very drawn to specific things. So I want you to look that up. And then once you look it up, I want you to message me and tell me what you think. But first look up the Orion star seeds, because you're going to have most of those traits. There's going to be a few you're going to be like, no, I don't really do that, but I would bet 9 out of 10 you have. The other ones, however, when you look at them, they're probably going to blow your mind a little bit. So now let's get to this. So like I said, this is dominoes, and this is going to take you a minute to get here, because you've got to work through those first 2 lines, the first line and then the second line. And what's funny is, after talking to you and after telling you, you've already started to work through some of the first. You've already started to work through a lot of it. What I love about this line here is that it tells me that you do accomplish more than you realize you're going to accomplish in this life. And I am fixing to look up what the number 25 and the number 6 means, because what the fuck? Like that. Like, what the fuck? So the anchor card for this line is the mystical shaman. That card in this particular deck, it's not so much a shaman like what you traditionally think of, like working with herbs and so on. It is, and it's not. It's more of a spiritual aspect, a spiritual guide in helping people that are like you. The second card is the potential card. And then the other 2 cards are upside down. So I want to explain that to you, because when you look at the picture, you're going to be like, what the fuck? It's the seer card and the accept your gift card upside down. Those right there tell me that you're going to accomplish those 2 things, and fully stepping into your gifts and realizing what they are exactly and how powerful they are, and also accepting that they're yours. Because some people will see them and they'll be like, well, I know I'm this, I know I can do this or that, but they don't fully accept it and they don't use them. But if you don't accept them, okay, these are mine, I have always done this, then the universe kind of goes, oh, all right, well, I'm just going to leave them in your wallet then, and you can take them out when you feel like it. If you fully step into them and accept them and start using them, it's going to blow your mind at the things you suddenly know, you know how to do, and so on. The next card is the light codes card, which is upside down. Be prepared before you hit this point right here, that second line that we just talked about. Be prepared to do some traveling, spiritually speaking. Not so much physically this time, but spiritually speaking. I'm going to send you an email later, and I'm going to put some links and stuff in there. But I'm going to leave a few out for later, because I already know from looking at the first ones of your cards that if I give them to you now, you will go and do it now. And I'm like, no, you can't do it yet. Because you're like me and you're like, I'm going to do all the things right now. So the next card on here is the radical acceptance card. And just this little bit, just this part of this last line tells me that when you get to this point, and I don't think it's going to take very long, I would say within a couple of years, you're going to look back on this time right now and not recognize yourself. You're going to look back and think, I have no fucking idea who that even was. Like, I know it's me, looks like me, not me. This is fully, completely stepping into who your soul is and stepping into your gifts and your abilities and your personal power. The last 2 cards down here is love what you have in your life right now, to appreciate everything right now, because when this journey starts, Okay, that was the wrong thing to say. Shortly, it's going to start rocketing forward because you've already started it. You're already on it. You've gotten on the roller coaster and they've strapped you in and they're not letting you off. Like it's happening. You're leaving the station. The last card is releasing that fear and working on pushing your intuition forward. And I'll send you in the email I send you later, I'll send you some tips on how to do it. And being very analytical, knowing you're an analytical person lets me know that it's actually going to be really easy for you. Most people don't think so, and some people it's very hard, but that card there also lets me know that you're extremely protected and moving forward. So spiritually, when you're worried about learning or opening up spiritually or whatever, you have to let go of that fear because you're absolutely protected and moving forward. You're absolutely protected.
Okay.
Like in a really insane, hardcore way. So now starts with the barrage of questions really quickly that I have been dying to ask you. First of all, I've got to know what sign you are. I'm betting either a Virgo or a Taurus or a Capricorn.
I'm a Libra.
Okay.
When you said the balance, looking for balance, I was like, scales of balance.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I got to look up what these numbers are because it's driving me nuts. So
I had 3s in the first line and then I had 25s in the second. She's the friend who turned me on to you, so.
So 25 is the intuitive, curious essence and contains the symbolism for personal freedom, rapid and positive change.
Okay.
That was your second line. The number 6.
Mm-hmm.
The number 6 is a reminder to slow down and focus more on your inner self, to stop chasing money and material things.
I really don't. That's the thing. When you said earlier, I was like,
I don't think so either. That's what's funny. I'm like, I don't feel that you chase them at all. I feel like you've busted your ass and you're good where you are. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's balance between your material goals and your spiritual self. So I think that's really funny. I think that's really funny. But I had to look them up because that's weird. I've never seen that where 2 different lines ended with matching numbers like that. Like that was just weird. And then the 2s and the 3s popping up. So at this point, it's kind of up to you on how fast the roller coaster hits that first hill. So I would advise giving it some hardcore thought. In moving forward and finding that missing part of yourself and all the things, it's going to change you tremendously. So good and bad. I mean, there's always good and bad to it. You know, there's always letting go of some things. There's always gaining other things. So I sent you some homework to look up. And then I would let your analytical mind just process for a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah. So
she was with me on the last call when the lady was talking about gifts and all that kind of stuff. So when you said that, she was like, she just looked at me and went, because I don't accept it. I do not.
She's even gotten this far because of me. So she was like, you're the only one that doesn't think I'm crazy. I'm like, you're definitely not crazy.
Oh, love, I can't tell you the conversations that I have started with the phrase, okay, and I'm crazy, but blah, blah, blah. So it is what it is.
Yeah, but I don't want other people to know I'm crazy. She's
No.
good with it.
All right.
The husband, he gets
Tell
it.
anybody.
Okay,
I don't think
tell
it's crazy. I think it's just not normal.
anybody. Oh, it's not. I can guarantee it's not.
Well,
Okay, so I also need you to send me like my next step from here because I've already done the spiritual and I've done the oracle. Now I need whatever session that I need to move forward. She said I had a very, very old as dirt soul, by the way.
yeah,
So
and
I
I
wanna
said
see the
older than dirt.
She said older than dirt.
So
You only had one life before?
No, she
Oh,
said I've had
no.
multiples. No.
Thousands.
okay.
No.
Yeah.
we're
thousands.
talking thousands.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I want to see where I am today as far as love, career, life, and then moving forward. Like, do you see longevity? Do you see that my love is?
Well, and you'll notice this when you look at those pictures I sent you. Every single line had a card about love in it. Like remember like the ones at the end where it was the two numbers the same?
Mhm.
There's one card in that line in each that position in each line that has a nebula in it, and every single one of those was about love. So I don't think you have a damn thing to worry about there. I don't think you have a thing to worry about there. And girl, you're not going anywhere anytime soon. I don't know what you're worried about. You have a lot to accomplish, and when you do accomplish it.
Could that be a fear from a previous life, that the fear that she might get die soon? It could be something from a previous life that she experienced or whatever.
Well, some of it's that, and some of it is like I was telling you, is that this is like your second to last. This is your second to last. I mean, so your next one is your last one. So you feel like you're running out of time. That's why you feel like.
Okay, that makes sense.
A lot of
She told me that
people
earlier.
that get to this point feel like that. It's your soul knows, like, okay, dude, you have this and you have one more time around, and that's like you have to accomplish the rest of your list in that time. Like, that's it. So you've been here so long that I think I would liken it to, you've got a couple of doctorates with all kinds of majors and probably a couple of master's degrees in there too. You've chose to stay here repeatedly. So that's why.
Earth sucks. Did you send me somewhere else next time? That'd be great.
I don't think you've lived here a lot. I think that's why you're so frustrated with the people here.
See, that's what she told me too.
Yeah.
This is why we connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same page.
Yeah. No, you end up drawing other people to you that are from similar areas, because you guys look at the world very similarly, and that you're like, I don't understand why people are dumb. Like, why are you guys all dumb? Like, I don't get it. Because your soul okay, say you had 100 lifetimes. And you've had way more than that, but let's just say 100, because it's easier for me to math. 90 of them haven't been here. The vast majority of yours have been somewhere else. So that's why the way that people here on Earth do things frustrates the fuck out of you, because it's not like this in other places at all.
It's kind of freaky when you think about it, though, because some of the stuff that I've just heard is what she told me too. I'm like, that's why we connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will. Yeah. People that are star seeds draw other star seeds to them. That's why you have friends that you connect with like instantly, and you're like, I totally get your crazy shit because it's my crazy shit. But
And then
yeah, then you have other friends that they're friends and you trust them and you love them, but
different type of friend. Yeah.
Here, your other friends are over here. They just don't understand. Like, damn well, you could probably never tell most of them, hey, I had a reading today. You could never tell them like, hey, do you know what a starseed is? Or yeah, they would go, okay.
Yeah.
And then filing a complaint. You know what I mean? Like, they just.
Can I tell you how we met?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's your full circle of how accurate your reading was. Okay. I hired her in my healthcare organization. I was so frustrated with the company as it is. She stayed like 2 months and then left. And I was like, girl, I get it. Toodles. I said, but we're friends for life. Okay. We connected in the interview
Mhm.
and then we've been friends ever since.
And I
So-
would firmly believe that it was not meant for me to work there. Clearly, if I'm going there for 2 months, it was so that we could meet.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
That's how crazy it was.
Yeah.
And how long ago was that?
3 months ago, maybe
6
4
months, maybe.
6, maybe. Yeah. You started in June or July?
Yeah.
June or July.
Wow. That's funny. It could
Yeah.
very well be that y'all are in the same
Soulmates.
soul tribe.
Soul Tribe.
Yeah.
I would go with that for sure. Because I've had a best friend for 15 years.
Our best
I would-
friends' names are the same.
All of my friends, their best friends are named the same. I can meet somebody and say, let me guess, your best friend's name is Amanda, right? And they're like, yeah, how'd you know? I'm like, lucky guess. Everybody, I mean, anybody who's close to me.
Tell me again, what sign are you?
Me, Pisces.
Okay. 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 I'm gonna have more homework for you.
For me or for her?
For you.
Okay, great, thanks.
So yeah, I'm gonna be sending you a very long email here in a little bit.
Okay, I'll
You
accept it.
remember us talking about fractals?
About what?
About fractals?
Fractals, yes.
Okay.
She's one of them.
A what? A freckle.
Fractal.
Oh,
I'll tell you about that. I'll tell you about that when we know. I'm on her time right now. I'll tell you about it.
okay.
I'm gonna send you a very long email here in a little bit. It may actually be this evening because it's gonna take me a bit to type it all out. So yeah, you gonna have a lot of homework tomorrow, girly. I'm just
Great,
letting you know.
thanks. With all that time I have on my hands, it's
But
great.
it'll be the good, crazy kind of homework that you like to do. I promise. I'm not
Right.
the teacher. I'm not the teacher everybody hates. I'm the fun class.
That's true. I would take your class over and over again. Mhm.
All right, girly. Let me stop this real quick.